I am a mother to 5. I've had them all within 7 years. Yes, 7 years. You heard that properly. So I've had my fair share of prepping for birth, going through the labor, and going through the birth and the labor part. So I have been doing a little bit of postpartum and birth videos on my channel. I'll link them all down below. But birth and everything that encapsulates birth, so prepping for birth, postpartum, I'm very passionate about it. So I thought I'd share a little bit of a tidbit with you guys. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about what I recommend you should do for prepping for a good easy labor. Now, we can say we want to prep for an easy labor, but every labor is so unique and so very different. And it can go to according to our plan, and it can go way far off of our plan. But I feel like there's a lot of stuff you can do prior to prepare for your labor and for your birth that could make things run smoother. Now, this is never a guarantee. I believe everything is in God's hands. So I'm just going to be sharing my little tidbit with you. Okay, so the first thing you want to do, I would recommend doing this throughout your whole pregnancy, obviously, but especially towards your last trimester, and that is focusing on really good, nutritious food. I know this might be like a no-brainer. Of course, you have to eat, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about good, nourishing foods. So broths, red meats, omega-3s, organ meats, so liver, that will immensely be nourishing to you, making sure you have really good nutrient dense bone broth, and having different sort of soups with lots of greens and everything like that. Obviously that is all going to take time, and if you have someone in your life that can help you with that, fabulous. That person for me was my mom. She cooked me a lot of good meals. If I asked for help, I was also making the majority of our meals. So that is number one. And if you see me looking down, I have my notes right here. Number 2 is to drink, especially in your 3rd trimester, to drink raspberry leaf tea and nettle tea. Nettle tea is phenomenal, not only for your health. It has vitamin C, it has a bunch of stuff. It has things that will regulate your blood. It will help with hemorrhaging afterwards, so you're not bleeding a lot. Nettle tea in general is a phenomenal tea. And then red raspberry leaf tea is phenomenal for you as well. So I would drink 2 cups of raspberry leaf tea, increasing it to 3 maybe towards the end of your pregnancy, and then 1 cup of nettle leaf tea. If you can get organic, I highly recommend it. I don't really recommend teas that are not organic. So number 3 is being active, preferably throughout your whole pregnancy, but your 3rd trimester is where it's really going to matter. Deep squatting. I did deep squatting with the last 4 of my pregnancies. Tremendously helpful in, getting things, how would I say this appropriately on YouTube? It will prepare things, let me just say. It's going to start doing its magic, and it's going to help you during labor, and you're going to thank me for this. But in general, 3rd trimester, try to stay active. I know you don't want to because you feel super big and you feel super pregnant and you're so done with it, but this will help you speed up your labor and delivery. So going on daily walks, doing stuff around the house, just keeping busy, playing with the kids. Mostly walks are the ones that I did, especially in my 3rd trimester, because that was the easiest. And a few squats every single day, especially once 3rd trimester hits. Okay, number 4 is I would highly recommend, especially if this is your first, but also if this is not your first, I highly recommend learning about birth and learning about delivery. I know this sounds kind of silly, but I feel like we've grown up with this fear-mongering about labor and about birth, and then it's this horrific thing that is meant to be horrible and meant to be painful, but the reality of this is that that's not true. And you can experience a wonderful, easy, pain-free birth as well. Not now, there is painful births, and that if it's painful, it does not mean that's a horrible birth, okay? Every birth is so unique, but it is possible to have a good birth, and I am living proof of this. So I highly recommend taking a course, taking an online course, attending an educational maybe class in your area, hiring a doula. Doulas are amazing. They're super knowledgeable in how the body works, and also making sure you have a great doctor. Leads me to my next one. Have a doctor that really supports you, that gives you options for, my baby's crying in the background, that gives you options to good classes, good courses, and a good doula, so that you are knowledgeable. There's so much stuff that we can learn that I had no idea with my first baby. Learn about the physical side of labor and how your body works, and the psychology behind birth, and how your mind and body connects during labor. It's phenomenal. It's super interesting to me. Anything neurological to me is just fascinating, and yeah, so highly recommend that. Okay, I gotta hurry up because my babies are crying in the back. Okay, so number 6 is I plan, or try to plan, on having someone supportive there. So options are doula, mother-in-law, mom, or your husband. So my husband has been to all my birth. He is there with me constantly. So my husband is pretty knowledgeable in a lot of things and how the body works, just because I'm blabbing in his ear nonstop everything I learned. So he's pretty well educated on that. But then I have my mom's support there. My mom is watching the kids every time I go into labor. She is helping me postpartum. She is feeding me. She has learned a lot through my 5 labors, and she's very good with my signs and cues as to when I'm going into labor and how I'm feeling. She feeds me super nourishing foods. But if you do not have the support there, or if you would like, a doula is amazing. Like I said just a little bit ago, doulas are super knowledgeable in delivery, in postpartum, in labor. They are really knowledgeable in how the body works and what the body needs. So I highly would encourage hiring a doula if it is in your budget. Even if it's not, I would highly recommend saving for it. Okay, so these two are kind of combined together, and I'm just gonna share them as 2 individuals, but they're basically related to one another. Okay, so one of them is plan out ahead of time what you want to do for pain relief. So obviously, if you are given birth in the hospital, you can go with the route of epidural, and that is up to you. That is completely your choice. I have chosen not to do epidural, and also when I do home birth, my midwives do not have epidural, so that is great, because I feel like if I did have the option of epidural, I'd probably do it when I am in the thick of it, because sometimes it does get really hard and it gets very painful, and you aren't thinking straight. This is why it's so important to have a good doctor, and that will support you in your decision when you were thinking correctly. So I've done my research. I prefer not to do epidural. Obviously, if time came and I was just super burnt out, I would definitely probably do epidural. I think it matters on the situation for me. So far, I have not had an epidural. So my pain mechanisms have been pool, hot shower, back rubs, being on a ball, and you can squeeze a comb. That's a pain relief. There's just a lot of different mechanisms you can look online that you can cope with pain, okay? Because it might be painful sometimes, and sometimes you might have a really easy labor, but you want to be prepared. And then the next one that goes with that is plan how you're going to be coping throughout the whole labor with contractions. I really highly recommend learning about different ways you can cope with contractions. So this is where the doula and the classes in the course come into play, is because there is many methods that you can learn, that you can cope through contractions. So for the last two, I've done the Bradley method, and it is where you focus on complete relaxation throughout the labor. And it's almost as if you don't feel the contractions, because when you feel the contractions, you go into this ultimate relaxation mode and you try to cope that way. I've also coped through breathing through the contractions, where like I'm just focused so deeply onto the contraction and letting it just pass. There's many ways that you can learn to cope with your contractions. So oftentimes what we see in movies and that's portrayed to us is when you are in labor, you are clenching, you are holding your breath, and that is possibly the worst thing you could ever do in labor. I've experienced through little sprouts into my labor where I start clenching, I start getting distracted, and everything just goes much harder, because when you're clenching and when you're clenching with the contractions, it makes the contractions so much more painful and so much more harder. So highly recommend you looking into all these different methods. Okay, and for the very last one, I want you to start learning this in your third trimester and learning about it. So not just learning about it, and also trying to put it into practice. And that is calming your mind. That is going to be very crucial when you are in labor and you are towards the end and you're having those really intense waves of contractions. You're going to really want to learn how to control your mind and control your thoughts. So when you're going through labor, I really want you to remind yourself that your body is actually made to do this, and your body knows exactly what you are doing and what it needs to do, and it has been built for this capacity to go this far extent. And I think it's just so miraculous the way God has created our bodies and the way it expands, and everything that happens during labor and birth, and how this huge miracle comes into life all through our body. So having some calming music every labor I've had some very calming instrumental music, and some other times I had worship music that was very like mellow. I had my husband repeating affirmation to me, my midwives repeat affirmations to me, my mom, everything that can encourage you. Yeah, mom life right there. Everything that can encourage you and help you get through this mentally. I pray that this video will bless you, and you will find some encouragement. I gotta go, my baby's crying. But if you have any questions, I am always willing to talk about birth and postpartum and laboring. You can either comment down below or send me a DM on my Instagram, which will be linked down below. I will list resources that I have used in the past all down below. I will list courses, books, and anything else that I have on my mind, and that is a good resource for you. I will list it all down below. If you are pregnant or about to enter labor, I pray blessings over you, that you may have a wonderful labor and delivery experience, and I bless you to have a beautiful postpartum, that you recover well. And thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.